Hey everybody, what's happening? I'm Brian K. Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about half steps and how we can pull those in to our lead guitar antics in the blues, okay? And before we get there, before we go into the content of this awesome half step information, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to the channel, okay? It really does help the channel continue to grow, and liking and sharing is awesome. Everybody out here on YouTube and on Rumble, you've been doing a great job. Thank you so much for what you have done. And of course, if you do dig the content that I'm bringing out here and you haven't done it already, help support the channel. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel, like, share the video with like-minded guitar peeps who are into this kind of stuff. And of course, check my links in the description, wherever that may be, because there's other things in the description that also go a long way to help me continue bringing the content out here. And with that said, okay, let's get into today's lesson. Now today is a key of G, key of G kind of day, okay? And we're gonna be looking at how we can pull half-step movement into our 12-bar blues, and when we're playing guitar solo in particular, all right? Now, I'm gonna be using some really common chord shapes that are basically off the major, it's a major blues. So we're looking at a 12-bar, G major, C major, and D major chords of some kind in this progression and what we're going to be soloing over, right? So I'm looking at some very simple chord shapes that are just this big old G major bar chord here at the 3rd fret, the low E string root note bar chord. Okay, this G major bar chord right here. And I'm also looking at the C major bar chord, which is on the same fret, A string root note. And this is the chord that we go up a whole step to get to the D chord, right? The 5, right? 1, 4, 5 in the key of G. Okay? And of course, the dominant 7 chords off of these are simply just going to be the dominant 7 bar chord where you take your pinky up off of, the D string of your G major bar chord and you got G7, right? And then for the C and the D major bar chord, we switch doing that double bar, right? We just have the bar chord right there, where you're doing the bar at the 3rd fret, you have your ring finger on the, in this case for the C7, 5th fret of that D string, and then the 5th fret of the B string with a bar on everything else in the back, root note A string, and we can use that 7 chord, go up to the 5 chord. Okay, those are the chord shapes I'm looking at, and for the examples I'll be giving you about how you can pull in these half steps, all right? So these things are gonna work really awesome with your major and your minor pentatonic scale antics. So you just mix these in to whether you're using the major or the minor pentatonic scale on this blues, either one is gonna fly, because what we're doing is we're looking at the chord shape, right? And there's 2 ways that we can get this half-step goodness into our lead guitar stuff when we're playing guitar solos. And if you're looking at the chord, why don't we just maybe, you can look at the top 4 strings in particular, because it'll sound really good on these strings. You can do it on any string, but these strings are good ones to focus on for the half-step antics, right? See the chord shape. In this case, it's just a smaller version of the G bar chord. And there's 2 ways to approach this. One is from beneath by a half step, which is number 1 fret on the guitar, half steps, right? And you move into a chord tone from a half step underneath. Little neighbor note goodness, right? The notes that are the neighbor to the chord tones. We're using them, okay? Because we're gonna have them help us say something like this. Right off the chord, right? The whole shape if you wanted to, or just the top 4 strings. You do that for all 3 chords, right? The C chord, the bar chord, which is basically the top part of that's going to be these 3 strings in a line at the 5th fret, the D, the G, and the B, and you have the 5th of the chord up here on the high E string at the 3rd fret, right? Same thing though. For the C bar chord, right? You could do the root note too, and that 5th in the bass of the chord, of course. You could do the whole chord. But the idea is go from a half step underneath, right? Into a chord tone. Same antics work on the D, right? Okay, and it doesn't matter whether it's a dominant 7 or the major chord. They're both going to sound just fine, regardless of the scale, minor pentatonic or major pentatonic. If you throw these in with your lines, outline one or two of the chords, or maybe all three of the chords at choice points, right? Whenever you kind of feel like it during your blues progression when you're taking a solo. The dominant 7 just has one different note there, right? You know, the more familiar with the chords you are, right? The more you can see the chord. You want to kind of see it in your mind's eye down there on the fretboard, right? If you know where the 7, right? It's just the shape of the chord. You don't even have to know where the 7 is, just know the shape of your chord. But in this case, the dominant 7 with that C7 happens to be here at the 3rd fret of your G string, right? The only thing that's different between this and the major chord is, you know, look at where's the difference. There's going to be your dominant 7, right? And that shape is the same thing up at the 5th fret for the D or the D7 or D7, right? Same chord. You put the half steps in there. Okay, you get a lot of mileage out of this. It's not very hard to do it. You just need to see the chord down here on the fretboard. And if you're good with your scales, which, you know, you want to have some grip on the minor and the major pentatonic scales, right? And then you're cooking with some gas. Okay, so look, I'm going to give you some audio examples, all right, so you can hear the concept in action, okay? And start pulling this in for yourself on your 12-bar blues, right? Just know the chord shapes, come in from a half step below, and okay, one more thing, all right? Half step above. You could also do the half step above too. Now this one sounds a little bit more exotic, but if we're on our G chord, right, kind of sounds like you're in Morocco. So from underneath, a half step below is more traditional. But if you want to like put some Moroccan coffee on your blues, right? Come in from a half step above and it'll work on all the chords. Gives you that Moroccan coffee flavor in your 12-bar blues solo. Okay, let's check it out with some audio examples. Stand by. Okay, so as you can see, right, just this little half step movement that we put into our chord shapes on our blues changes adds an awful lot of spice and variety, just some straight up wholesome goodness in our blues guitar leads, our solo playing. Okay, thanks for being here today, checking out the video, and until next time, enjoy playing your guitar. Peace.